Alright, y'all, I'm gonna make this short and sweet. Thy Art is Murder is a deathcore band from Australia. I've been listening to them since I was in high school, when Hate was brand new. Fell in love with that album. It's been one of my favorite deathcore albums for a long time. Over the years, my taste on them has kind of dwindled. I don't think their quality and music has really sustained itself or has been as interesting. I think everything they've put out ever since has been just same cookie cutter stuff, uninteresting, nothing really new. But they're in the news a lot right now. They just put out a new album, and they also just fired their longtime vocalist, CJ McMahon. I vaguely knew about what he posted on Twitter. Apparently he wished a mother should burn to death because she was, like, I guess, making her infant say something that was, like, I don't know, like, gender related, like, oh, you're actually trans, or something like that. But apparently that's not exactly it. So before CJ actually deleted his social media, apparently, he reposted Matt Walsh content where a girl is asking her toddler, "Are you a boy or a girl?" The kid responds with both, so she laughs and says, "Okay, you're both." CJ added the caption, "She should be burned to death," which is in the same reaction to a bit weird but harmless video, so naturally get reported and taken down. And it's also not the first thing that could be interpreted as transphobia that he's posted. And there are a lot of people that are downplaying this. A lot of people that are like, oh, well, he was justified. That video, that lady's insane. For the life of me, I don't understand this hyperfixation on gender that conservatives do all the time. You know, I want to devote this channel to music. I have a political channel called Stateless Patriot for a reason. It's for crap like this. I've wanted to keep the two separate, but as Maynard James Keenan has once said, music will stay out of politics as soon as politics stays out of music. And as you can expect, there's been a fallout within Thy Art is Murder. So this happened a month ago, but just a couple days ago, Thy Art is Murder posted this. We have some important news regarding Godlike that we want to share with you. Our new album Godlike is now available worldwide digitally with an unforeseen change. Chris McMahon is no longer a part of Thy Art is Murder and does not feature on the record. We understand that this may come as a surprise, and we want to assure you that this decision was made to preserve the band's integrity and direction. What transpired over the past month was not the cause of this action, but just another symptom of the drawn-out breakdown in his character and judgment. The straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. Long story short, the fallout has been immense. We were lobbed with threats to destroy Thy Art is Murder from the inside if we did not capitulate to various ideologies that he holds. Everyone has their own right to free speech and to seek their truth. They are also free to receive the consequences that come with it. We appreciate your support and respect for our privacy during this challenging time. As we move forward, we are excited to introduce you to a new vocalist who finished re-recording vocals on the new album earlier this week and will be joining us for the Godlike European tour with Whitechapel, Fit for an Autopsy and Spite, which kicks off in a few days. Our focus remains on delivering powerful music and unforgettable performances to our dedicated fans. We're grateful for your understanding and continued support as we embark on this new chapter together. With gratitude, Thy Art is Murder. It just infuriates me to no end that fascist, grifter, scum like Matt Walsh is so pervasive in their horrendous ideals and their fantastical delusions that it's seeping into the music that I enjoy, or at least used to enjoy. And of course, the usual suspects that you would expect came out in support of CJ McMahon after all of this came to light, after he was kicked out of the band. Tommy Vext from Bad Wolves, conservative. Ronnie Radke, unhinged lunatic who flirts with transphobia and conservatism. I think Phil Labonte from All That Remains has as well. Hell, Ronnie Radke offered him 20 grand, and he hasn't even paid me the 10 grand yet for him to come out to where I'm at so I can tell him to his face that his music sucks and that he's awful. Come on, Ronnie, I'm waiting. So I actually did listen to Godlike, and I was actually sort of impressed. I thought it was actually a pretty solid record. The new vocalist does sound a whole lot like CJ, so I think they'll be absolutely fine without him. He wasn't even the original vocalist, and he hasn't done anything interesting vocally in years. But speaking of CJ, he took to social media to talk about how his original apology wasn't even posted by the band. And we're going to react to that apology and see exactly why it wasn't posted by the band. So this is from his Instagram account. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Hey guys, CJ here. I wanted to talk about what's going on and about what I posted, but also apologise to everybody that's been upset and offended by this, because I can now see how that has come across that I've offended the trans community. But I wanted to let you know that I apologise for this. None of this was my thought of doing at all. I wasn't trying to target the trans community. My issue with the video is you have a child that's 6 months to 1 year old that can verbalise a word that is yeah, and that is it. This woman could have said anything to this child.
See, already completely dishonest. So toddlers are usually between like 2, 3, 4 years old, and they can definitely say more words than just yes. And according to the comment here in the video, the kid responds with both. I don't see why CJ has such a huge problem with that.
She could have said, do you want to be an Islamic terrorist and blow up cities around the world? The baby would have said yeah.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so this is where I paused it. I was like, okay, I gotta do a reaction to this, because like this right here speaks to a lot of his biases right off the bat. Why, like, where the hell does this come from? This reads like something out of like alt-right YouTube 2017. Islamic terrorism? Blowing up cities around. Why does it have to be Islamic terrorism? Why not intra-African mercenary terrorism, or Russian terrorism, or Turkish terrorism, or Azerbaijan? Like, come on. But moving along.
Do you want to identify as a dinosaur and live as a dinosaur for the rest of your life?
Again, this is something that the right wing does all the time, conflating. Like, it just says a lot. These people think that men and women are two different creatures. This is a false equivalence, and they do it all the time.
Your life, and the baby would have said yeah. I think the world is picked up enough as it is, with everything going on. Nothing to do with LGBTQ family, anything like this whatsoever. And I'll always stand with everybody with whatever their belief or whatever they want to be announced as, or spoken to as, or identify as. But the people that I will always stick up for first and foremost before anybody is the people that can't stand up for themselves, and that's children.
He still hasn't really exactly apologized, and he's not explaining why a child identifying as whatever the f*** they want is a bad thing. If you ask pretty much any trans person, they will tell you that they realized from a young age that they didn't feel right about their gender. They didn't feel like they were in the right body. And to ignore that or brush that off, you're literally denying children their identity.
I feel that there's a lot of different walks of life other than the LGBTQ plus family that indoctrinate children and force feed children information and ideals many years before these children should be.
This is exactly why Thy Art Is Murder did not post this apology. Trans people have existed throughout history. Were every single one of them indoctrinated to be trans? And again, if your child naturally comes out like, oh, I don't feel like I'm a boy, or I don't feel like I'm a girl, is that bad? This is why the transphobia labels were lobbied against you, CJ. You follow clowns like Matt Walsh, and then you're taught to believe that it's just the most evil thing if your child decides that they want to be trans, if their child identifies with being trans, or they learn about trans people and learn to accept them. That's not indoctrination. You following the shit spewed by libs of TikTok and Matt Walsh and all the Daily Wire clowns, that shit is indoctrination.
Spoken to about these things, I think, around the world. The sex ed conversation between school and children and parents and children range from about 10 or 11 or 12. And I think that's a decent age to have these discussions about sex and gender and how the birds and the bees and all these sort of things work. And I think, for me, my opinion is that children should be protected from all of these things until these ages. And I'm sure, of course, there is a very, very small...
Unless they ask a simple question like, are you a boy or a girl? And they answer with both, you're not going to, like... If the child doesn't know, and doesn't understand it, doesn't have the capability of understanding, your explanation to them is not going to change anything. But your reaction to this video was, this mother should be burned to death. Totally not insane at all.
More percentages of children that have these feelings of being gay or being trans before the ages of 10, 11 and 12. And I think that these kids should be protected, nurtured, loved, respected, and looked after if they do have these views. I fully back all of this 100%. The thing I don't back is these kids that their only information is the closest people around them, and then people force feeding these things that I feel are highly inappropriate for children to begin with at these young ages. I feel it's inappropriate. That is my opinion, and I stick by my opinion. I'm sure some of you, if not all of you...
Again, teaching children that some women were born as men and some men were born as women, how the is that inappropriate? Teaching your children that it's okay to listen to your deepest feelings so that you can understand them, that's not inappropriate.
You have seen videos of the LGBTQ plus family doing burlesque/stripping shows in front of children, whether it's at a daycare center or a center that's been hired out for mothers to bring their infant and extremely young children to these events. I also feel that this is highly inappropriate. Whether the woman identifies as a woman and is straight in gender and sex, and that is still highly inappropriate. In Australia, you can't go to a burlesque show or a strip show until you're the age of consent and the age of being able to drink alcohol, which is 18. I feel that this is the age in America would be 21. And
this isn't necessarily something I disagree with. It's just I disagree with the scope of how big of an issue this actually is. Because it's the job of people like Matt Walsh and Libs of TikTok to milk the ever-loving shit out of this topic. So every single fringe cherry-picked example is put on blast for the world to see, and the narrative pushed is they're coming for your kids. This is what the left wants. This is the future that the left wants. The transgenders are coming for your kids. The woke mob is coming for your kids. Be afraid. Be very, very afraid. These drag queens are going to violate your children. When the clip actually being shown is usually innocuous or out of context or vague, or you don't actually know what's going on. And this happens a lot. The scope of this issue is largely exaggerated for the sake of profit for a handful of people pushing this propaganda, because it generates clicks, because it generates outrage, thus generates revenue for these channels, for these accounts.
And I feel sure you're allowed to make that conscious decision for yourself. But me being a parent of 2 kids, I find that this behavior is completely inappropriate. Again, my post wasn't targeted at the trans community. It was there to protect children. That's all I want to stand for. I'm probably f***ing up everything I'm saying right now, but I'm really trying to defend myself and also apologize at the same time for how it's come across. I shouldn't have said burn her to death, but I was infuriated. I'm sure if I wrote that about a police officer or a politician or a priest or something like that, it wouldn't have had gained any traction. Everyone would have backed me. Again, I apologize for the wording.
Yeah, because those people actually do wrong a lot of the time. You would have been a whole lot more justified. No harm was actually fucking being done in the video, dude.
Used. I don't know how I've been called a rapist. I don't know how I've been called somebody that wants to kill children. I don't know how the f*** we've gotten to that point. But all I wanted to do was protect children at all costs from all things, including trans children. I would protect every child, black, white, trans, straight, gay, poor, rich, uneducated, educated, whatever it is. I don't care. I stand with the kids, and I stand to protect them at all costs, whether they have...
This is just like, okay, it's the lowest bar imaginable. Like, it's not a noble thing. Like, no kidding. Children are vulnerable. That's why they're children. But the issue is when you hide your ignorance behind the veil of, oh, well, I just want to protect kids. That's where the issue arises, because you're misjudging the scope of the issue. Your anger and your frustration is directed in the wrong fucking places.
Anything to do with my life will be on the other side of the planet, and I have information about it. The 2 most things I can't stand in this world are rapists and fucking pedophiles. And I believe,
just like the rest of us, like I said,
if they all deserve to burn in fucking hell. I'm not calling anybody from the trans, pedophiles or rapists or any of these sort of things. I apologize to all the people that have been offended, the LGBTQ plus family, the trans people. All my intentions was to protect children, and this has all gone way too far, and it's affected my life, my career, my friends, my family, my business, my staff, everybody. I'm sure my trans friends that know me well would understand where I'm coming from, and if they don't, I apologize for that. I've probably lost friends in this process. I
just wonder how many people around him have pointed out to him, dude, the people that are selling you this shit, they're grifters. You're buying into outrage bait. You're making people like Matt Walsh rich because you're validating the rage bait spewed by him. These are dishonest actors who are causing real-world harm. A children's hospital in Boston had to be evacuated because a Matt Walsh Libs of TikTok fan thought that the hospital was giving kids, like, what, vasectomies or some shit? Like sex changes? A children's hospital, meaning, like, children with terminal illnesses, cancer and shit. It had to be evacuated because the clown's spewing this nonsense that CJ's buying into inspired some fucking lunatic to threaten the hospital. So when you say protect all children, it's just a hollow sentiment. I'm not buying it. Again, your anger and your frustration is directed in the wrong places.
But yeah, I don't know much what else to say, but all my intentions were to protect all kids, trans, straight, poor, rich, black, white, yellow, pink, whatever they identify as, protect all kids at all costs.
Alright, well, that was the end of the video. I'm sure CJ doesn't think that he's doing anything wrong. I'm sure he has good intentions and is a decent guy. But if the shit that he's seeing on Twitter is affecting his life to the point where his band has to just completely sever ties, like, by surprise, there's probably a shitload more going on behind the scenes. So I'm not surprised at all that the band didn't upload this apology. I'm also not surprised that he was kicked out. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this entire situation. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Hit the bell so you don't miss a video. I got a lot of cool stuff on my channel, sorta, kinda. More stuff on the way. Leave a comment down below. Check out my other videos if you haven't or don't. It just doesn't matter. As long as you enjoy. Oh, and CJ, log off the internet for a few years.